Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Go Earn It podcast. And today I'm so grateful and I'm excited to have him back on. We tried last week, but that hurricane stopped us, but we're coming back for more. I have on today Reece Humphrey. How you doing, Reece?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. So let's go back from the beginning. Last week when we tried to get you on, I tried to weather through the storm of hearing the connection, but if you don't mind retelling our listeners your story, a little background on who you are and what you do for the wrestling community.
Sure, no problem. So, a little bit of my credentials. I was a three-time U.S. Open champ, three-time world team member, Olympic alternate in 2012. Pretty decent on the mat. And now I'm moving into the coaching. I coach at Princeton and Rutgers. It's called the NJRTC. So senior level guys trying to make a world and Olympic team.
Yeah.
I am coaching them now at both places. So it's a pretty awesome situation. We get funding from both Rutgers and Princeton. We get training partners from both Rutgers and Princeton.
Yeah.
And we just go back and forth. They're decently close to each other. So it's easy for me. I live right in the middle to commute to both places and get double the workout partners, double the funding, and it's really an awesome situation for our athletes.
For sure. So, Reece, when we originally talked from the get, your come up in wrestling. Let's talk a little bit about your dad. I really want to shine light on that story you were telling before we lost connection. Bring that back up into the podcast and give listeners a little taste of how you grew up in the sport of wrestling.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool situation I was in. My dad coached two Olympic teams, once for USA and once for Canada. And when I was growing up, he was in sales, so he was done with wrestling, which is so it's crazy. He's such a wrestler. All his friends are wrestlers,
Yeah.
this and that. But when I was growing up, I didn't really realize it. I knew his friends were wrestlers. I knew he was a wrestler, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But one day in sixth grade, I came home and told my dad that I wanted to wrestle, and his eyes lit up. And I remember it so vividly because it was something special to him.
Right.
And I don't know if he had been tricking me and sneaking in little subtle wrestling tips here and there, but maybe it was his doing, making me go that route. But I felt like I chose wrestling for me, and I think it was huge in my success that I didn't do it for him.
Right.
And I think he knew that you can't push someone into wrestling. You can expose them to it enough, but if you're doing wrestling at a high level for somebody else, it's not going to have the same rewards.
Right.
So whether he tricked me or it was actually my decision, I don't know, but that was kind of how it came about. I just chose it for myself.
Yeah.
And later on, I was wondering, like, why is my dad at practice? Like, dude, I know you're good at push-ups and pull-ups, but what do you know about wrestling? Little did I know, world silver medalist.
Yeah.
And coached the Olympic team a couple times. So having a father figure like that and a coach like that who has the ability to step off of something that is really important to him, and I knew that he wanted his boys to wrestle, it's pretty awesome, and I think it helped me out a lot. And that's what I'm kind of doing for my boy right now, and maybe if my girl wants to wrestle too, my kids. So I'm staying off. I just expose them to it whenever they want. If they don't want to wrestle, don't wrestle.
Yeah.
Okay?
Did
If they do, I can show you some cool stuff along the way.
So did you ever ask your dad like why it was not really a secret, but why he kind of hid it from you, or was it?
Yeah, I don't think he really hid it from me. I just think he was into sales then. He was like had a normal 9-to-5 job. So I think he obviously had a lot of stories about wrestling. But
Right.
I don't know. I was just kind of in one ear and out the other. And I'm sure there was a lot of wrestling, but just the way that I remember it.
Yeah, you just
that
not that much.
It wasn't pushing me for me to do it at
Right.
the slightest, which I think helped me a lot.
That's awesome. So tell me about, coming up in a sport like wrestling. What was some of the major challenges that you saw in the sport that kind of, a lot of high level athletes, especially like you go through a lot of adversity. And so my question is, how was it wrestling in high school and college for you? Like going through all that. people don't understand that when you go through a sport like wrestling, it's a different commitment than a lot of other sports.
Yeah, no doubt. With the weight cutting and the losses that are a for sure thing, they're gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys, and sometimes in wrestling it seems like there's a lot more valleys. Uh, Even as you get better and better, it's like it's almost a lose-lose situation. If you win, you were supposed to win. You could have won by more. If you lose, it's the end of the world.
Right.
So get that out of your head. Get that mindset out of your head and focus on the positive things. Don't focus on the grind of wrestling. Focus on the things that make you happy about wrestling, and keep your spirits lifted, because it will break you down. It has a tendency to do so, and you can get down on yourself if you're cutting a lot of weight, or the season's really long, or you're just getting into it. You're new. You're going to take a lot of losses.
Yeah.
Find the positives in everything, and you'll be much better off. Surround yourself with teammates and friends who are positive and who will lift you up through those things and help you work through them. That's why teammates and drill partners are so crucial, who you pick. If you pick guys who are going to work hard and then party afterwards, you're probably going to end up doing the same things. And if you pick guys who are only out for themselves, you're probably not going to have a great experience. So when I'm coaching or when I'm on a team, I try and lift up everybody. The worst guy on the team is you. You're part of the team. So you got to pick everybody up so you can grow as a team, and it only ends up benefiting yourself.
Yeah.
So trying to stay positive through adversity, and that's why you see a lot of wrestlers being successful after wrestling. Because when the world beats you up, we're used to it.
As a coach, how is it for you to combat dealing with guys like that are high level athletes but do take breaks or do take time to not devote everything and they go out and party? How do you deal with that situation as a coach? You know, they're supposed to look up to you, they're supposed to listen to you, but they're still choosing to do the things that aren't gonna better themselves. How do you combat with that, and how do you deal with situations with wrestlers that you coach?
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So you have to take each person, each task with a different mindset, and just be open to who these people are and what they can do. But for me, it's all about passion. I got to get these guys to believe why they're doing something, because every one of them, whether they party or do things off the mat the wrong way, whether it's not even partying, what if they just eat junk and make the weight cut the last 2 days instead of a month long? All these decisions only hurt themselves. So they're putting so much time into this sport, or in its wrestling or jiu-jitsu or whatever task it is at hand. They put so much time into it. Don't screw it up by making bad decisions, eating shitty food, or waiting to the last minute to cut your weight, or going out and partying, or socializing too much, staying up late, whatever it is. All these things only affect yourself, and they deter from the goal that you really have at hand. And most of these guys, they say they want to be a state champ. They say they want to be whatever their goal is, regional champ, whatever, nationals. They say they want it, and then they do so many actions to gain that goal, and then they kind of ruin it towards the end with these bad decisions sprinkled in.
Right.
So I just try and get them to understand that it's for them to be a little bit more selfish and to do the right things, because it only betters themselves. You know, I can only push you so hard.
Right.
And that's only 2 hours out of the day. Okay, you can break it down, and you can ruin all that hard work that you do by just making a couple mistakes. And as you get older and as you get more serious about the sport, those things become such a distant thing that's not important in your life, man. For me, when I was wrestling on the senior level, if I did better, my family got to be more comfortable. We made more money. We got more sponsorships. Everything went easy, so it was like hand in hand. But the same thing goes through high school, college. If you do the right things, you win more matches. You're not as tired. You get better. It makes sense to me. But I've been doing it for a long time, so I'm just trying to portray that without them having to go through it.
For sure. I remember I was in high school still, and I didn't know where to find workouts, and I didn't know like how to, because in high school there's a lot of programs, I'm sure, that just aren't taking the time and effort to put physical education at a high standard. So these classes, these PE classes and everything, they're not that great. So this stems back from, I used to see these workouts from Muscle Farm, and I used to see Reece Humphrey, he was the premier guy, showcasing these workouts and whatnot. So for you, how did that link up for Muscle Farm with you, and how did you guys come about coming out with workouts? And I really enjoyed. I could tell you, like, back when I had an older iPhone, half of my screenshots were just pictures of you with a workout, like a complex workout.
Flexing.
Yeah, exactly. But tell me how that came about, and what was that experience like for you doing that for Muscle Farm?
Yeah, so that was great. So first of all, disclaimer: I'm not with Muscle Farm
No,
anymore.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, for
right.
sure. I'm
So
not trying to endorse it or anything, but
yeah, right.
I just
But
remember that's how I remember or recall seeing you
yeah,
more and
right.
more.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So that the mastermind behind all that is Dustin Myers. He was
Okay.
my strength coach at Ohio State, and his best friend from high school is Corey Gregory, and he was the president, and I believe the founder of Muscle Farm.
Okay.
Now he's moved on to Max Effort Muscle,
Sure.
which I think they've taken all they learned from Muscle Farm old days and
Yeah.
amplified it and increased it and learned from their mistakes. So I think Max Effort is an even higher grade, even though it's a smaller company now.
Sure.
But Corey and Dustin are still doing all that. Go to maxeffortmuscle.com. You can find articles and workouts and this and that for free, and what supplements to take and all that
Yeah.
for all the supplement needs. So that is all information that is still out there, still free. And they just kind of brought me along for the ride.
Yeah.
I like being with people who are hardworking, and the more I surround myself with guys like that, the more I'm motivated. And even just seeing them on Instagram, it's like, well, they're still working. I better get to work too.
Yep.
And so that surrounding yourself, the 5 people you hang out with most are the people you'll be most like. Similar to what we were just talking about with teammates and drill partners. If you hang out with the right 5 people, you'd be shocked at how those traits,
Yeah.
you adapt those traits and want to get the same things that they're getting out of life. So that's who I would say. Coach Myers and Corey Gregory got me into all that and got the workouts going.
So the nickname highlight.
Oh, yeah.
Would you mind telling listeners? Some of our listeners are from other backgrounds, not in the wrestling community. Tell listeners how you got the highlight Humphrey nickname.
Okay, well, I just made it up one day.
Oh, that's it. That's as simple as that.
That's as simple as that, but it goes well.
But it grew into something bigger. I mean, with just all of the acrobatic stuff, the gymnastics, and the tumbling, the work you do, it's insane. You've been viral on a lot of videos doing some insane challenges and whatnot. So
Right, no doubt. So it's just the way that I live my life and the way that I wrestle. I was always looking for the big move. I wanted to do the flashy move, but I wanted to do it against Olympic champions and world champions, and I've done so in my career.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking for the big move that's real safe, and I drill these moves all the time, so it's real low risk for me, high reward, and the bigger the throw, the more your brand grows. So I was really just always looking for it, and the best throws that I ever had are against my best competition.
Yeah.
So drilling it and wrestling against guys who I could always hit it on. And then once I got to the next level, if that opportunity arose, I was ready and prepared to take that, throwing guys over my head, trying to end the match in one quick move and get a nice momentum swing. And it helped me in a lot of big matches. And that's where it came from, highlight.
I like that. So with coaching now between both schools, what would you say some of the biggest similarities and some of the biggest differences are in both wrestling rooms?
Let's just go with differences, because
Okay.
these programs are almost opposite,
Okay.
but on the same path, so
Gotcha.
it's great. There's similarities and differences. Similarities would be hardworking, all-in mentality from the coaching staff. They have no ego. They just drop everything and work everyone individually for the team.
Yeah.
Both programs do that very, very well. I've been thoroughly impressed with the work ethic that these coaches have and the athletes. But the great thing about it is there's no recruiting battles between Rutgers and Princeton. Princeton's Ivy League and Rutgers is a state school.
Right.
Both very good schools to go to. But Rutgers has that tough, honest mentality of work. When I think of Jersey, I think of Rutgers.
Yeah.
And then Princeton has that Ivy League. It's a real similar reputation. they're tough and they work really hard, but they have that real smart, educated uh, kind of way that they go about. Hang on, I got a call coming through. I'm
No
trying to get.
worries.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, so we can keep
Okay.
going. Your video cut off on me a little bit, but I hear you crystal clear.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. And so they need each other essentially. So they're allowed to come to their RTC practices. Princeton guys can go to Rutgers. Rutgers guys can go to Princeton
Yeah.
for the RTC practices that I run. And it's great getting a blend of that toughness, that almost too tough for your own good, into Princeton, and then the Princeton guys kind of they rub off on the Rutgers guys, making them think about each decision more.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. When we spar at Rutgers, or kind of supposed to drill and do things light, technically, they don't have that. They go straight into fighting each other. They're headbutting each other when they're supposed to be learning. So we're trying to bring them back. Rutgers or Princeton guys, when we're doing that, they're a little too methodical, too technical.
Gotcha.
So when they're in the room together, you find that medium, and they're both just growing so much faster than they would alone. And it's been just an awesome thing, and both coaching staffs are all about the program, so it's working out really well.
Yeah, good. That's great to hear. With that being said, I want to talk about the big thing that me and a lot of guys that talk about big names in wrestling, this whole notion of the Twitter beefs. And I just was on a podcast with Jordan Oliver, and we were talking, and I think the Twitter beefs, it's not so much about the beef, but more about how it's bringing awareness to the sport, which is the most important part of everything that comes down to this, is that it brings views and it brings people in that don't hear about wrestling that much and see these big names call each other out. So for you, what's your thoughts on everything like that going on in this generation with social media and whatnot? How do you feel about it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We need more of it. It's what wrestling's missing. So, Trash Talk, J.O. versus Zane Rutherford. They're both very high-level guys. Both could be on the team next year. But the fact is, neither of them are. Logan Stever's the guy. I know J.O. he was out for the last year, and Zane Rutherford took the year off. So those three guys, it could be anybody on the team. But Logan's a world champion. And now everybody's talking about J.O. versus Zane Rutherford because of one thing, because J.O. called Zane out.
Yeah.
And now there's beef, and whether you like it or not, people are talking about it. Whether you love J.O., you hate J.O., people are talking about it. And to be honest, his brand is growing, and it's growing fast.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a old school mentality about wrestling. Get your hand raised and walk off and show some respect, man.
Right.
No one else does that. We only impede our progress as a sport with having that mentality.
Yep.
I can show respect, and I can still show emotion.
Right.
I can flex to my coaches. I can flex to my fans. I don't want to taunt anybody.
Right.
I don't want to. I'll always celebrate it. Wrestling's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's so hard. You have very few moments that you can shine, and you can scream and flex and dance and do whatever you want to do. Do it. Do it in a respectful way, and it'll bring light to the sport. Whenever I've done it, some of those videos have gone viral, and it's not disrespectful.
No.
I don't have anything against. Half the time I beat my training partner in practice. I wasn't excited about beating him. I was excited about making the team.
Right.
So be excited. Show some emotion. Talk some crap on social media. Bring some light to it. There's not a lot of money in wrestling. If you have a chance to grow your brand and build up a match and maybe make some change, some quick bucks, wrestling one duel.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, the fact is, you win the U.S. Open, you get $3,000, and you had to beat 5 superstars.
At the highest caliber of athleticism you could probably get in a sport, especially like wrestling.
Back to back.
Yeah.
5 matches against superstars in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
I'll bet J.O. and Zane could make $5K each easy.
Yeah.
It could be a lot more. It could be a lot more if you just promoted the match well and did it like they should, but instead so many people listen to the haters like, oh, tell him to sit down and shut his mouth and be respectful. Like, stop.
Yeah, the people that are saying that, though, are the same people that are going to pay to watch that,
Exactly.
That's the crazy part.
Well, the people that are talking about it already know about Zane Rutherford and J.O. Yeah, well, now they know more. And now the people that didn't know, now you're gaining some new fans. And that's just all good, man. Wrestling there's a huge population of people that wrestle, or my brother wrestled, or, I know this guy, he was a badass wrestler.
Yeah.
Invite these people in, give them something to talk about. And I commend Jo for doing it. If no one will step up, I'll wrestle him. You heard it here. I'll come out of retirement if I have to.
All right.
I grow the sport, man, and I want to get the athletes paid.
Yeah.
We're so close to turning that corner, and I just don't want people to impede our progress by having that mentality.
For sure. So what you want to shine light on what happened with you? You've gone at it on social media a little bit at some guys. You've been barking at some guys. I know that. So that's been seen. I've seen that myself. So you want to shine light a little bit on that?
Yeah. So I will shine light on it. Me and Dylan Palacio. So if you only see bits and pieces, it looks like we're going at each other. But fact is, I'll just break the secret out right now. Me and Dylan are friends.
Okay.
To prove a point.
Yeah.
So if you follow the whole thing, you could kind of see it. But
sure. Yeah.
I had so many people text me like, "Who is this Palacio guy?" I'm like, "No, we're buddies." But he's trying to prove a point that trash talk. And so once he started talking trash to me, and I started barking back at him, you'd be surprised how many people tagged Flow Wrestling, make this match happen. Neither of us wrestle.
Right.
Retired.
Right.
We're both retired. We're both nobodies in the wrestling world right now. And the trash talk makes it, people talk about it, and they want to happen. I'll bet 100 people have tagged Flow Wrestling saying, get this match started.
Oh, for sure.
So get two people that are relevant in the sport, have them step out, show some emotion, and make some controversy. Love me, hate me, do whatever you got to do, but talk about me. So it's not real trash talk between us, even though we were starting to make it look like that. But no, we're buddies, and it was all to prove a point, and I think the point was proved.
Would you consider coming out and doing an event where you'd do a super match with somebody that's a big name?
Of course I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still ready. I wrestle every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you say you're out of the sport, not really. You're always you're training with everybody, the best of the best, the who's of the who. So
yep.
For you, I think you'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would take it. I don't want to.
Why is that though? Just because
it's hard.
The grit, and the grind.
And, I think that this could be maybe the best I've ever been.
Just
focusing on coaching and taking breaks when I need to and training hard.
For sure.
The reason why I'm in shape is because I feel like the athletes learn more when I can wrestle them and show them what I'm talking about. Then they want to make the adjustments quicker. But in that process, I've gotten a lot better at hand fighting and a lot better at holding position because I preach it and then I actually have to do it when I'm wrestling them.
Right.
So, in turn, I think I've gotten to be a better wrestler, but I'm old, man. The cutting weight, the daily grind, not for me.
For sure.
But if I saw the opportunity, if we could make a big promotion, I could make some money, I would do it to help grow the sport.
Yeah.
And, but for real competing day in, day out,
no, you're out.
Man, I focus.
Respect to that. You've solidified a pretty good foundation for yourself as far as a career goes in wrestling, and you've wrestled some big names and whatnot and have had a lot of success. Do you foresee Zane and Jo happening this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Soon. I don't know if it's 6 months. Whenever Zane is back, Jo seems to be ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's ready, and whenever Zane's ready to come back, I know he had to take a year for whatever he wanted to, but I'm sure he's gotten a lot better in that year too. Just like I'm talking about, step away from the grind and focus on learning and getting better at wrestling. That's what he's been doing. And Cale Sanderson in Penn State, those guys do a phenomenal job over there. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but it's working.
Yeah.
Cale's an awesome guy. He's got a lot of positivity surrounding him, and he gets superstars in that room, and they work hard and they work smart. So it's impressive to be around. So I'm sure the Zane that we see next will be a very good Zane. For
sure. I was when I was at NCAA's in Cleveland, I was just amazed at so many emerging stars coming out of the wrestling landscape. And you see these names, Snyder and Yanni and all these guys that are just making noise. Spencer Lee.
Yeah.
Who has been some of the names that have stood out to you and you enjoy watching just as a fan?
Ooh, so I like watching Bryce Meredith.
Yeah,
I think he's a superstar in the making on the senior level. He's
yeah,
got to get some freestyle under his belt. Huge fan of Yanni. I think he's a savage. Dayton Fix is fantastic. And I'm going to go with a homer here. Suriano is
mm,
just, I think he's just getting started. I get my hands on him a few times a week, and he's making huge, huge jumps right now. He's really excited about the sport. His fitness level is off the charts.
yeah. I was gonna ask you what is he doing, man? What
What
is
does he do? I
he's
have
eating
no
more than
idea.
Wheaties?
He must be doing something right.
Yeah,
He's shredded, and he's filling into his body, and I don't know. He just looks really strong. He feels strong,
yeah,
and he's so hungry. You know, he got hurt his first 2 years. The first year he broke his ankle and couldn't compete at the nationals. And the second year, he doesn't want to admit it, but he was really hurt at the nationals. He couldn't
yeah.
touch his knee until that Monday. He'd been
Wow.
off the mat for basically a month, and he was a national runner-up to a superstar, Spencer Lee.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, he was really banged up,
Wow.
and I didn't even know that until I got here.
Yeah.
He's not the type of guy to complain, but I mean, his knee a month after the nationals was still like a basketball.
Jeez.
Huge. Maybe not that big. Like
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's
uh,
big, big knee.
but yeah, so I'm a lightweight guy, so I tend to look more towards the lightweights.
Yeah.
But Snyderman, and then on the senior level, Burroughs and Dake and Taylor, and these upcoming guys, Nashawn Garrett. These guys are
Right.
just fun to watch, putting up a ton of points, and actually pinning guys on the senior level,
Yeah.
which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's crazy to see guys like Kamal Bay and just
Yeah.
these guys emerging as just monsters. For you, what's some personal goals that Reece Humphrey is trying to accomplish? You know, being a coach for multiple schools and running the RTC and whatnot. What's some personal goals that you would like to see happen for yourself this year?
Yeah, I have some long-term goals, but I really just want to focus on the short-term, daily, getting better.
Yeah.
We are just trying to build a team right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting out. We have Josh Kindig. We have Brian Murphy, he's training at Rutgers. We have Nate Jackson. All these guys are brand new to freestyle. CJ Bruckey.
Yeah.
And then Bryce Meredith is on like a week per month contract, and we also have Matt Williams on a
Interesting.
week per month. So they wanted to stay. Bryce wanted to stay in Wyoming, and Matt Williams wants to stay in Colorado Springs. We said, go ahead, do that. But we want to help you, and we think we can help you. And it's kind of a mutual thing there. So they're going to be bouncing back and forth in these little mini camps that I'll be hosting. And
That's
these
awesome.
guys through. Anybody, there's a bunch of other people that I've been talking to that might be doing that. Don't need to say names. But exciting stuff for us, and we're just getting started.
Yeah.
I think this is where I belong as a freestyle coach. Working with the best of the best. I think I can help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And my energy level is very high right now. I'm very motivated. We are very young, and we are just getting started, but we can make huge jumps in these early stages, and our guys are doing so.
Yeah.
Nate Jackson was 5th at the U.S. Open, and then solidified himself as 3rd at the World Team Trials, behind, and then 4th overall with Final X going on behind David Taylor, Daringer, and Zahid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was hoping to jump to solidify ourselves behind those guys who are ranked, basically top 5 in the world. So, and then we're trying to inch away at that. So we're making big jumps, and freestyle is new to these guys, but it's exciting stuff. And so we're just focused on the daily grind.
As a coach, would you ever consider coaching your own school? You know, being a head coach for a big, a big university down the road. Would that ever cross your mind?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I would rather take this route.
Okay.
I like the freestyle. I like the freedom.
Yeah.
I like traveling overseas and being with my guys all year round. It's where I think I belong. I think
Yeah.
I'm better at it too. All the recruiting and all the paperwork that comes with collegiate coaching.
Yeah, it's a hassle.
it's a lot more than wrestling.
Right.
And I think if I can keep focusing my time and efforts into more wrestling on the mat things, it's what I enjoy more,
For sure.
and it's where I think I'm better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a perfect fit for me. Tervel Delagno's got a very similar job over at Ohio State.
Yeah.
He loves it and kind of paved the way for RTC coaches. And I'm young and I'm working with the best of the best. I'm just getting started. So I think I got a long future as an RTC guy.
For sure. What are your thoughts on some of these guys that are dipping into MMA?
I love it.
Yeah.
We have Frankie Edgar coming
Mm-hmm.
out to Rutgers almost every week.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays. And then when I was in California, I trained with TJ Dillashaw a few times. So I love the transition. I would love to be coaching some wrestling MMA.
Yeah.
Anybody was interested. I know TJ said some good things, and Frankie likes training with us. So I love it, man. And I love learning about that life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love watching that. So the more ins and outs I know about it, the more fun it gets to watch. And, I would love to be involved in more of that. And I think I'll lean that way at some point.
I think it's a fun thing for a fan, if you grow up watching some guys that wrestle in NCAAs that transition into MMA. Like a guy for me that I like watching compete is Kyle Crutchmer. I followed him at OK State, watching him, and then he transitioned into MMA and he's training at AK with DC and all those guys. And it's so cool, man, to see like how wrestling can translate into a good foundation for MMA. If not, have that be the best foundation to start off an MMA career.
I think it's a fact.
Yeah.
Wrestling is the best base.
For sure.
Look at how many champs there are right now. Henry Cejudo.
Yep.
TJ, then DC, and who else? Woodley's out there.
Yep.
Ben Askren's still undefeated.
Yeah. I hope to see him back, man.
Want to say about it? I would love to see him.
I want to see him in the UFC because I think hands down he'd probably be a champ right now.
He sure seems unbeatable. I don't know how you're going to beat him.
Right.
So I think it's a great base, and I think that even the best high-level MMA guys could definitely work on their wrestling.
For sure.
Even the wrestlers.
Yeah.
TJ, still, all these guys they need a lot of help in that area.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be like a supreme master at every single task.
Right, for sure.
Good at striking and jiu-jitsu and all that. So, I think I could help them there, and it's really fun for me. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I see posts with you and Frankie, and it's so cool to see that you're making an impact in his life for his career because he's a monster in MMA still. He's one of the best in the world. But I got a couple more minutes with you, Reece. I want to ask how's being a family man. How's the family life, and how's that going for you? Most guys, coaches, wrestlers, they take so much time to put out what they do for the wrestling community or MMA or whatever, but rarely do we get to talk about how it is at home. Tell me how's everything been with you and that lifestyle.
Started talking about family, and I just get a smile on my face.
For sure.
Kids and my wife, and I think that's the main reason why I like coaching so much.
Yeah.
When I was an athlete, I had to be so selfish, cut and weigh. My wife would have to make meals for me and do this, just trying. So I remember being in between practices, and my boy would need like a glass of milk or something. It would be such a struggle to go do that.
Wow.
Just totally exhausted all day in between, just enough energy by the time the next practice started, and then you deplete everything again.
Yeah.
Literally, physically all in. So now when I get tired of practice, I stop. And then when I come home, I'm so ready to go play catch with my boy.
That's awesome.
And play little Barbie dolls with my girl. And
yeah.
I have that energy to live the life as a father that I want to be.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, it's way over wrestling or coaching or anything. Growing up, having your dad doing everything interactive every single day.
Right.
And that's what's really important to me. So I have a hard time going back to competing because I know I'd have to throw away a piece of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now they're 7 and 6, and it's time to play. So
yeah.
I really love being a family man and hanging out with my wife and my kids.
Have you put them in sports yet?
They do about everything.
Yeah.
They do gymnastics, which I think was the best base for any sport.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my boy he bounces around. He does soccer. He did hip hop dance.
Oh wow.
Just anything we can think of. And then
Yeah.
he gets bored of it and he moves on. He goes to the next one, you know? My daughter's in ballet right now, which is it's similar to gymnastics,
Yeah.
where the balance and the strength and the explosiveness. So all that stuff is really important to me, and I don't want to miss that. So
Right.
I like having the energy to go to it and be the dad that I want to be.
Awesome. Well, Reece, thank you for your time. I got one more question for you, but before we get off, where can listeners find you, find out more about you, what you're up to?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, let me plug myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
This is your time.
On Instagram, we have @HighlightHumphrey. On Twitter, it's @HighlightHump. And then the newest thing, and the thing I'm focused most on right now, and it'll be all posting in the next month, will be the most content I put out is YouTube.
Wow.
And that's youtube.com/HighlightHumphrey. We're going to have motivation on there, coach's corner stuff. Some of these tricks that you see on Instagram, we're going to do the secrets behind those tricks, kind of break them down and see if we can teach you how to do some of the things that you've seen me do over the years. And then also some wrestling news is what I'm going to try and get out. Wrestling news with Reece. There'll be a silent W on Reece.
Yeah, gotcha. I like that.
So we're working on some new stuff. I just want to stay relevant in the wrestling world.
For sure.
Even though I'm coaching, and I think it'll just bring more awareness to the NJRTC.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get some more guys out of it and still stay relevant.
For sure. You guys are still big relevant name in the sport, so don't forget that. So Reece, as I always close out the Go Earn It podcast, when somebody tells you you have to go earn it, what does go earn it mean to you?
Dang, man, we've been talking about it the whole time.
I know. It's a hard one.
Stats at Princeton, Rutgers, whatever it is, man, these guys are all in, and that's what go earn it means.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the circumstance or the situation. If you put yourself in a position where you really, really want to succeed, you've heard the motivational quote where you gotta want to succeed more than you want to breathe.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta work for it and be all in, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. If you go all in, you're gonna benefit yourself more in the end, and then you can go earn it.
Perfect. Thank you, Reece, for your time. This podcast will come out on Monday, so I look forward to bringing it out to the world, and thank you for your story and everything you've done for the sport, and I hope you like the gear. I hope you got the gear and you received it.
I got the gear. I love it.
I hope it fits well on you, and I look forward to talking to you soon. All right?
All right, you're the man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Reece. Have a good day.